busy.
Good morning. I'd like to call the special workshop for the Board of Selectmen to order. It's now 8:35. First order of business would be the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Selectwoman Cartier to lead us, please.
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Cindy. The purpose of this workshop is to receive the multi-year capital presentations from our town departments, and we'll start off, we'll switch in agendas here, for Youth and Family Services. Lynn Landry, good morning.
Morning, everybody.
Okay.
Good morning. Morning.
Okay. And what we'll do here, and I add that we also invited members of the Board of Finance to join us. So we'll start off with
Right.
your presentation, please.
Sure,
Thank you, Lynn.
thank you. Palmer House, which is Guilford Youth and Family Services, will hit its 10-year anniversary in February of 2017, since it's been renovated. And so, as you know, we get a lot of wear and tear throughout the year, and in consultation with building maintenance, we thought that two projects, 2 years out, would be the carpet replacement on the first floor, which is the most traveled. The second floor really doesn't need it, it's all offices. And so the quote that we received from Joe's Paint and Flooring in Branford is $21,670 for the whole first floor.
How many square feet is that?
I have no idea. He didn't put the square feet on here, but it's a lot of carpeting. So it would be the first, all the common areas, the offices on the first floor, and the stairs going up to the second floor for industrial carpeting.
It'd be bid out anyway, so.
Right, it would be
Bid
bid
out.
out, right, so this is
Okay.
just a
Because
ballpark
they're very
figure.
high, that's why I'm saying that.
Are both of these going to be bid out, this one and the one from McDonald, the painting?
They would be bid out, these are just estimates, ballpark estimates.
That was going to be my question. You answered it by saying Joe's is from Branford, but I didn't recognize either of these vendors. And I just wanted to make sure that Guilford businesses had the opportunity, but I
Yeah.
guess that's a Steve issue.
Yeah, we would bid them out, since it's pretty high, so, we wanted a quick number so that we could, we could just
I
put it
get
on
it,
there.
yeah.
It's 2 years out, it could even be 3 years out,
Okay,
okay?
so neither one of these projects would enter into the 2018 budget.
Correct,
All right, we're talking
correct, yeah,
2019 at this point.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, good.
yeah. And then the exterior painting, again, that was bid out, by William McDonald, for about $15,000 for all of the exterior painting. As you can see from the estimate that he gave, for scraping and prepping and painting.
Okay,
And that can also be 2 to 3 years out.
and these would all be, as it stands now, included in the general operating fund. Wouldn't be considered for bonding at all.
Right,
Not at these
right.
prices.
No, yeah,
Okay,
Right.
I agree.
okay.
Any other
I
questions?
agree with the maintenance portion of this, that I do think, things like this should be done and that type of thing. but
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that it's going to get bid out because,
Oh, absolutely.
okay, good.
Yeah, I'm, it's just curious, how do we find a painter from Hamden and a flooring guy from Branford instead of somebody local? I just-
It matters, right?
It's just somebody that,
Just getting numbers, I guess.
yeah, just getting numbers.
Yeah.
This is just a place.
No, I understand that, there's gotta be local people
They're
that,
doing other work for us.
Okay.
We did the blinds.
okay, so they're people vendors we've used, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good time in Hartford.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, boy. Okay, we'll go back to our published schedule now. We'll start with Natural Resources, Kevin McGee. Morning, Kevin.
Morning.
Would you like to start, Ken?
Basically on the schedule, we'll be carrying the two current items, the one for this year for the vehicle, and then next year will be the compact tractor and utility trailer. Those are staying within that time period for 2018 for the compact tractor. And they have one addition for 2018, which is something we've been carrying, which kind of dropped off because we thought a project with SCROG was going to cover it, but they haven't got funding, and the way the state funding is, the Power Area funding to assist with this project is the GIS planimetric mapping
Right.
services. The SCROG actually did do partial funding for this, shall we say. They carried out a recent flight of the region, which got really good resolution photos, which will help out with this project, and actually dropped our original proposal we've been carrying, which used to be $55,000 down to the current $35,000 that we have now. Anyway, so this is the, I didn't put this in the package, but I passed it around. This is the resolution that they're down to now for the photographs, which will give us a good product. And then I included with the package the end product, looking at what Branford has on their parcel maps versus what we have, which is very scarce in terms of these features that we're looking for. In terms of buildings and sidewalks and roadways, which will help out the emergency services, engineering and stuff when we're doing preliminary drawings.
When was it last updated, Kevin?
We've acquired details on our thing from SPC, but we never done it ourselves in the town of Guilford. The last time I think Guilford did parcel with buildings and stuff on it was probably a 70s or 80s project through the assessor's office on our assessor's maps, but nothing current within our records at all.
Kevin, what you're passing around here,
That's the resolution of the photo they'll be working off of. If you look at any current GIS maps that we have, you're not coming in as close to the features as we currently got with the latest flight that they have, and that's the flight.
So,
In their pack, I'm not sure this kind of package, but this is what the parcels which Brantford has, which was the end goal here, which is sort of the standard now. And this is what we currently have, which are older features from an SBC photo, which did buildings above a certain size range.
okay, so I'm trying to understand.
Yep.
Would this be the improvement, or this is what we're getting?
That's what we're going to be working. That's what they're going to be working off of. That's what the SCROG did in terms of developing the photos we're going to be using to create this next layer. So that's the work that's already been done, and the resolution and the detail that we will be getting off of to create the building footprints, the driveways,
Okay,
sheds, and porches and stuff.
so the additional 35,000 would give us what?
The difference
Convert
between
that
this
to
map and this map.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get. at.
Right, using that photograph.
Are you saying the last set of maps were the original Jerry Silbert maps way back when? That's what we're still using?
His was property lines, but we never sketched out photos. So the RGS program has never sketched out building footprints,
Okay, 'cause I
driveways,
remember
pools, sheds, and stuff like
the
that.
biggest issue back
Sidewalks.
then, I mean, that was a gigantic step for us just to get to that point, but
Yep.
I remember that one of the biggest issues then was justifying GIS versus the assessor's map, because the plots didn't always fit each
Yeah,
other.
they didn't.
And they kinda averaged them out and said, okay, this is where the line is. Will this kinda address most of that?
This is a separate project from that. We've been working with a consultant as there's been major error seen within our lines. We actually go back to, start using the aerial photographs, actually going back to subdivision maps and getting the correct angles and stuff like that. The assessors were pretty much traced drawings or lines, so here's a
right.
line through here. We've actually been slowly through the years, picking different subdivisions in town, picking a corner and working out with it, which is increasing the,
So that's a separate project than what we're talking about now?
correct, yeah. Efficiency of the lines and stuff.
You know, on this table here, where it's listing, it says collection rates. Does that mean that's how much we've got on digital
the
files at this point?
That's the percentage that their accuracy level.
Oh,
would-
okay. So So that's not necessarily where we stand as far as what's.
No, that's their accuracy rate of collecting the data.
Okay, the only other thing that jumped out at me on that table was, have we, like railroads, I mean, the railroad must have very accurate digital maps of their railroads and their right-of-ways.
This is put it all in one package, so when we have this overlay on it, it's a line that's drawn on. I mean, that
combined.
the railroad's a slim line. It's like equal to a road in town, so that's not really a high cost item. Your bigger problems are all the individual little
Of course.
buildings and stuff like that, which are the details being picked up on it.
So Kev, just so I understand, so, because the public's gonna see this.
Yep.
Why do we need this?
It helps
I'm
with
confused.
It helps with permitting, helps with long-term planning. We're looking at the picking up sidewalks, we know where a sidewalk is, where we're gonna need to put sidewalks in the future. When emergency services need to, it gets attached into their systems, they can actually label, and know where a house is down a long driveway and stuff. Aerial photographs take up a lot of memory.
But can't they just go to Google Maps and look it up?
It's, you cover it over by trees and everything else on Google Maps.
It's
Where this
probably
actually gives
combining something like Google Maps to property lines.
Okay.
Right, I mean, this will be Google
Somehow
Maps.
You gotta get them together.
I mean, this is the base map for Google Maps. They take this information there.
Okay.
And that's an outside vendor services and stuff there. Where we can't, like I said, if you're looking at doing like a preliminary road design, Jim, give me a preliminary road design like he did for the sidewalk or the potential greenway from the Adams School to Gulf Lake School there. You can actually have a road alignment, you can see how close the houses and stuff are to the pathway all in one shot there. Aerial photographs, there's so much congestion in it in terms of the trees, the other features there, that you really don't get a good presentation of the data.
So you mentioned that this takes up a lot of space. Is the cost of this due to storage space? What do we?
No,
what
aerial
is-
photographs take up a lot of space and memory.
Right.
This condenses it down in a less storage area, and it's a different presentation than you do get with aerial photographs. It's a totally different mapping.
What is the
presentation.
30? Why is it 35,000 as opposed to 10,000?
The time.
What is the cost?
The
What is
time
it?
that takes to pick up all the different features.
So somebody
Close it.
sits down and does this manually. Is that what we're paying
It's, yeah, manual labor, which picks up the houses, the driveways, sidewalks, swimming pools, sheds, all that type of
for?
stuff.
So they're taking photos that are already in existence
Yep, which saved us $20,000.
and combining them with plot plans, basically.
Using those to place into the plot plan, correct. The buildings that are digitized get put on the plot plan, which gives this presentation versus what we got here, which is fairly lame.
So this cost isn't for new photographs being taken,
No, it's not new
flyovers
photographs,
or
it's
anything
using the
like that.
existing
Just-
photographs to get the buildings on a parcel map.
And then just one final question. Along the lines of checked off, I see nothing is checked off on any other page other than that first page in terms of the percentage completion. So water features, for example, I would expect them to have all the lakes, rivers, streams, creeks, dams.
Right, those
ponds,
are, we have a
reservoirs.
layer from the state on those, those don't change, those, like buildings, those get new ones all the time.
Okay, so
Lakes and features.
those should
I
all
mean,
be
those-
checked then, basically.
No, we don't want them to get those, because we already have that.
Oh, this is what they're gonna get, so, okay.
That's where they're gonna, what
Okay.
boxes are checked is what we're asking for. And
Okay,
then certain things I asked as an option, because I wasn't sure how much they're gonna cost, and the checkbox is there.
okay.
Kevin, how far along is the COG on pursuing this?
Pursuing the parcels,
Yeah,
last year they put in a grant, they got denied.
That I know.
That funding, my understanding, that funding from the state probably not gonna be in existence with the way the state budget and stuff like that, it sounds like they're not gonna be funding these type of things. Talking with my contacts at Scrog there. It's been 4 years, they kept asking the state for the funding and they keep on getting denied for it, so it's one of these things. While we have good quality photos, it's a time to move on it. Cause like I said, we already have $20,000, we're basically got a savings of $20,000 by having the photos done already. If we do it on our own without the photos, you have to add that cost back into
Right.
it.
So, if we were to delay this a year, $20,000 is not lost. The photos are not.
No, the
lost.
photos are still there, that's why I'm looking at the 2018 year. If you go 2019, there probably might be new construction, so you're not gonna be fully up to date.
Understood.
But
Understood.
I have to check with,
But won't the
because
new
this is part of the
construction,
package through Scrog that they had for the aerials as an
Mm-hmm.
extra. I have to see how long they hold us, that we can get
Right.
in with their,
But also,
program.
you have to admit, every day there might be.
oh yeah,
additional
every day there's
construction.
something.
but on new
Construction going on.
construction, aren't we requesting, digital maps from the applicant so that we can include it in any updates immediately anyway?
Once we get the base map, yeah, we can then start adding those to it, correct?
So we're not adding any new constructions or new permits to the existing GIS system?
We are not doing any of these footprints currently to the GIS system right now. So we only got the information that we currently have from SPC, which was, my God, 10, 15 years old data, which are larger buildings
And that
only.
cannot be updated.
We can, that's what we're looking at, is updating right now. You have to
I
start
know we're
somewhere.
looking at updating the entire system, but I'm
Yep.
talking about when somebody applies for a project such as 66 High or somewhere, you have a
Yep.
major project. I'm sure all of those plot plans and everything are digitally available from the developer. We're not
Correct.
taking them and adding them to our existing system.
No, we're not, we haven't started any program like that, adding them into our GIS system.
But we could.
We could, correct, yeah, we need something to start with.
Well, do we have that existing system? My understanding is we had the existing GIS system. It
Yep.
was just simply each applicant, in my mind, should be required to supply a digital plot plan of their project, and that should immediately be included in our existing system. So that any updates, you were just talking about updates.
Yep.
They would be there.
We can have our consultants then added into, we do when we get new properties or subdivisions and stuff,
Mhm.
those get added into the system on a yearly basis. So we can
So the
do,
updates are annually only at this
we
point?
do annually up right now, currently, yeah.
Is that
we
a
can look at
cause,
doing-
is
We-
it
we don't-
cost the reason for that?
We don't have anybody on staff that does that, is that correct?
Right, it goes out to the consultant, and we just
So
give him
we
a
need an
package and
outside
he runs it.
consultant to do it.
Okay, so it's a
Um,
cost issue.
And the other problem,
Well, then,
it's reasonable to get it from 66 High, but, if you want to put a 500-foot addition on and you come in
Yeah.
with, I don't have the capacity to provide a digital update. Maybe you do, but if
not
we're
a
going to
matter of whether
individuals,
you
we're
have
not
it,
gonna
just
have
make it a requirement of the permitting process, that's number one, because otherwise you'll
yeah.
never have updated,
Yeah.
what's,
I mean, we're looking, that's
if
part
we're
of,
going to
We have
this.
to have a facility to do that, though.
Well, that's
individuals
that's my next
probably don't have
question.
the
Will this
capacity.
new system that you're proposing allow town employees to update?
this here, the way the GIS is built, we have the consultant do it. We do with.
Including the proposed system that you're proposing?
This is not a new system, this is just a layer.
Enhancing
GIS
the
is-
system? Would that be the way to
Enhancing
say
the
it?
system, right,
Okay.
GIS is a layering system.
Okay.
So you put a
So
map
you
on
wanna
top
add
of a
more
map. So this would
programs
be
or
a-
layers to it?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
All right.
And it's
What you're
that
talking-
complicated that it requires a consultant to add or update it?
It's technical, yes. But we do have, like you said, we do have the new computer system for building permits there, the Munis system, which allows for the maps and stuff to be saved on that, so we can pull those up digitally, view that single parcel. So we have that on
So we
file.
can pull them up individually, but they don't become part of the town map?
The town map, correct,
Except
currently.
annually when we update.
But if you want, we can make it an annual thing added to the maps, correct.
I thought you told me we are doing it annually now,
We're doing subdivision lines,
only separate.
parcel lines, not building and features.
Okay, we're getting into the weeds at this point.
But this gives us a base to start what you're talking about.
Anything else on GIS? Okay. You have the other item you want to talk about?
No, I just had that one item, and then the other items which are in our budget, which will remain in the years that we have
The
noted.
car, there's a vehicle,
Tractor.
You have a
The
utility.
utility tractor, which is.
which was already
next-
previously approved.
Which has already been approved, which we'll keep in that same schedule. And then we'll vehicle, which is this current year's budget, which we'll be putting in proposals for.
I only see two things.
Wait a
It's,
minute,
it's in
no,
the
no.
current year already, so it's in 2017,
Well,
the
it's-
third
it's
item.
The third item. I'm looking, I see two items.
I only see two.
The third item is in 2017's budget
Oh,
right
she doesn't
now.
have 2017 on here, Joe.
If I see, what about the compact utility trailer, the tractor, excuse me?
Right there.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
We didn't mention that, did we?
Yeah, I mentioned that we, carrying that, I'm keeping, remaining that in the 2018 fiscal year.
Okay.
So you're saying you
it's-
presented it before, but
It's been
just pushing
presented
it.
bor so it's staying in
It's
that
just
year.
pushing.
It's just, no, it's staying in the current
All right.
year.
Yeah,
presented,
he's not
correct.
changing.
I'm not changing anything, so.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It was, okay.
I'm,
Well, just since we're talking about, what's the vehicle, I mean, I know,
Yeah,
we're
I just- I
approved it,
want
but
you
what's
to
the vehicle being used for?
Remind us about it.
oh, okay, it's, let's try to not
For the
delay you
audience, 'cause
anymore
we got
here.
the camera here.
No, 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 you're not done yet.
It's for the natural resource staff maintaining properties, be able to brush hog the edges of the properties, mow the paths, has a bucket we can move material around with, carry equipment in and out of the woods, put post holes in the ground and stuff. So it's a small tractor like the Board of Ed has, four-wheel drive features.
And how you operating without it now?
Manual labor, which takes a little bit more time.
So you
And
could
carrying-
theoretically use it
Carrying
now.
stuff or what?
Carrying stuff, yep.
Okay.
And not brush hogging.
Not brush hogging and stuff. Things are kind of getting a little out of control. Contracting services. I mean, we have one field where we're had half mile acres do a brush hogging for Braymore Field in North Guilford for us because it's a seasonal type operation there. Once a year cutting, so it's something that's paid out to right now for services.
And what does that cost us when you contract that out?
I don't get the invoice, about $500 or so a year for that one there, and you're at the mercy of the contractor where some of these things are timing. It has to be just dry enough, and you can't get a person in there. You're going to delay it, and it creates some issues.
Okay, right now you're using a pickup truck, right?
The very small pickup truck, correct,
Okay.
and that's why we have the one coming in this year's budget here, which will be
Right, now the
Approved,
pickup truck that's in this year's budget that's been approved
yep.
will not satisfy your needs, that you need the utility trailer also?
Yeah, the trailer would be for the tractor to sit on so we can tow it. So we can tow the utility tractor on.
So you need a pickup truck and a utility trailer?
With the
And the machine.
And the machine. The trailer is for the machine.
I understand that,
Correct.
okay,
Correct.
okay. Anybody else? All right, thank you, Ken.
Yep.
Okay, lost my schedule. All right.
Golf course.
Golf course, Ted Ty. Morning, Ted.
Good morning.
Morning.
I think you have one piece of equipment when I looked at this.
Yeah, I put in for a 2020 fiscal year to replace a fairway mower that's presently 17 years old, and basically wear and tear. The current price in that is $30,510. So every year after we decide to purchase that, it would be a 2% increase.
I'm more interested, and the board can ask their questions, but in the current year we're talking about, this is 2018 for the purpose of this meeting,
Right.
is the 48-inch walk-behind mower that you put in for $8,500.
Correct.
Talk to us about that, please.
Basically, my two push mowers, which are not motorized, are 13 years old. So it takes about 5 or 6 hours for someone to walk around and actually hand mow these areas. So basically, I want to get a motorized walk behind mower to cut down the time and to replace those mowers which are 13 years old.
And when you say not motorized,
Well, they're not. They don't. You have to actually push them. They don't actually
Not
go.
they're not
They're
self-propelled?
not self-propelled.
Okay.
Correct.
I just
So
wanted
it'll
to,
make it, it'll make them a little
So
easier.
who does the work,
Especially 48 inches, that's a possibility.
who does the work now that mows?
My part-time help that works for me. So basically, they're going around on a 20-inch mower.
that's not self-propelled.
It's not self-propelled, and
let's
it
get
takes a
that
lot of,
cleared.
a lot of time to do that. So this.
Are these-
So you'll be able to reduce staff time?
Reduce the
With this new
staff
mo-
time, correct, and
Are
replace,
these
and replace some
specialized
equipment
mowers?
that's 13 years old,
Are
basically.
these specialized mowers that can only be used on the golf course?
No, it's not specialized at
So
all,
a park and rec mower could do it?
correct, yeah. Basically, it's the commercial walk-behind mower, probably a 48-inch, which I can pick up anywhere locally.
Okay. We're talking about one mower here?
Yes, one
Okay.
more.
Okay. So these are mowers just for the fairways, not for the greens?
This mower is actually for the rough. We'll cut around the rough into the banks, around the tees, and the clubhouse yard, those kind of areas.
Well acquainted with the rough. Okay.
So had the commission done an analysis that what the savings would be for staff versus buying this mower?
We'd cut the labor time in half, basically. So we'd be able to work on other things.
So what's the cost savings? I mean, have you,
I haven't really.
haven't done that yet?
I haven't really
Okay.
looked into that.
I would suggest that when you go back to your commission
Yep,
and they start working on the operating budget, that they address the question that Cindy has asked,
okay.
okay? Because we're not approving or anything today, this is just to get inquiries as to what equipment is needed. We'll approve these capital budgets in February along with the regular operating budget. So it's a good question on how much we're gonna save in labor if we approve the purchase of this mower, or the budget for this mower.
Right.
All right. Anybody else? Okay, Ted, thank you very much. Course is still open?
We're presently talking about closing it because the last 2 weeks have been minimal revenue,
Okay,
so.
good, thank you.
Joe, while we're waiting.
Yep.
You raised the question of schedule. Can we get a schedule out for what our February meetings are, so
Oh, you
those
mean
of
the
us who
minutes?
might want to schedule some time away
um,
can schedule it appropriately?
The finance director and I are gonna be working on that.
Okay.
Okay?
The sooner the.
Because January we meet usually,
Yeah.
right? Okay, yeah, the sooner the better for me, so I
Yeah,
can
if we
adjust
get it
my
out,
board
it just
schedule.
makes it easier to schedule.
Yep, for us too.
Okay.
Are you trying to say you have a life?
I'm trying, my wife wants to believe that we have a
Your
life.
wife, now we get to the nitty.
Right. Get to where the real power is.
I would plan on the second and or third week of January, we'll have our budget hearings,
Okay.
okay?
Was the 18th, 19th?
Somewhere around there, yeah, yeah.
That's the Wednesday, Thursday, I think it's 18, 19.
Tentatively the 18th and 19th.
Okay.
But then we have to do our work after that.
Right.
Okay, town properties,
If you
Steve,
could
not here?
schedule the follow-ups too, because I want to go south
Absolutely.
for some time in February, and see if I can schedule around it.
morning, Steve. Good morning. Okay. How would you like to start off?
I'm looking for $100,000 to,
You are.
yes, I am, to upgrade the elevator and the fire alarm system here at the town hall. Currently, they're two separate systems. I want to do the project together, so the elevator gets tied into the fire alarm system, which is currently the way code requires it.
Okay, and why are we doing that?
The electronics end of the elevator are old. I'd like to replace it before it fails. The fire alarm is also antiquated. Part of this would be putting a new annunciator panel at the back door for the fire department, and it would upgrade all the fire heads, smoke detectors, which at this point they need to be replaced anyways at 25 years old.
How old is the elevator?
Elevator was back in, I think, 75, Jim, when the 74, when that back addition was put on.
So this is the control electronics?
It's the control for the elevator. The elevator car itself is fine, and the piston we had rebuilt a couple years ago. So
Piston is like a motor type thing?
it's hydraulic. So there's a piston that actuates it to go up and down, and the pump is new. So it's just the electronics end of it.
So the cab is fine?
The cab is fine, and the piston and pump are fine.
The cables that
No cables.
Connected.
Yeah, just the cylinder.
It's all,
That's all it is.
The piston that's why you don't have cables, right?
Right.
Okay.
it's only one floor.
Do you have a breakdown of
Because you got the basement.
the elevator and
The
the fire
elevator is
alarm?
51,000, the fire alarm is 30,000, and there's like 19,000 in there for miscellaneous sprinkler head removal, replacement. There's certain other electrical things we have to do. We have to put in a shunt breaker to shut it down in case of fire. And this is all tying in the elevator with elevator recalls in case of fire. It stops the elevator.
It doesn't sound like it would be feasible to do them separately, fire alarms.
No, that's why I'm tying them
Yeah.
two together. It makes a lot more sense.
And all the prices you got, because all different elements that you have to do to
Yes.
it, different quotes, that's what I thought. Okay.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this would complete all our renovations once we get the carpeting done to the town hall for quite a number of years. now.
Yes, yes, yes. Everything else is pretty much, I have some sprinkler heads to replace, but, which I want to do before I do the carpeting, because obviously that can get messy.
Yep.
And then carpeting, and then that should be it.
Because we've done roof, the windows.
Roof,
Painting.
windows, heating system,
Heating
building
system.
management system.
Okay, good. The fire alarm system, has that been
We had,
suggested by the fire marshal? Or,
well, I've been talking to Paul Favino about it. He's all on board with it.
I mean, did he insist on it, or it's just something that recommended that?
The smoke detectors need to be replaced anyways. And with this new system, you'll be able to tell exactly where the fire is. Right now, the alarm goes off. And there's only several zones. This will tell you exactly where the fire is. There will be an annunciator panel at the back door. So when the fire department comes in, they'll be able to see right where it is.
Okay. Will this be tied into the fire station now?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, down to dispatch, like it is now.
Well, dispatch is downstairs, so, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
One last question. Of the 81,000, the 51 for the elevator and the 30 for the fire alarm upgrade, how much of that 81 is parts? Roughly?
Well, the elevator breakdown is labor and parts for
Right.
the elevator end of it. The 30,000 for the, probably half is parts, the other half is labor for the alarm.
Half and half?
Yes.
And the elevator?
I don't have the breakdown of that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 15,000 for labor. For the
36 for
elevator.
parts?
Yeah.
You should have it be,
You got a
you
chart?
should have
That's
it
right.
be
Should have
Right.
all the backups in.
Yeah,
What about,
it's all, yeah, it's kind of
next-
laid
the
out
next
there,
page.
Ken, but everything, the breakdown.
Thank you, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, I wasted time.
and the two gas conversions are, they've been on the.
We push those back a year.
How are we doing on the gas conversion and, over on?
I think we're waiting to see what ECG finds out.
Are elevators one of those situations where you don't have a lot of choice of vendors?
There's about 3 people that service this area.
I know that it's always problematic, there's not so
It
many
is,
people that
there's
do
not that many
elevators.
around.
In general, there's not a lot of people. I mean, there's only so many companies that make them.
If you went
You
more
kinda have
towards
to
New York
mercy.
City.
I didn't know if the controls, I know the elevator installations are very problematic. I didn't know if controls fell into the same category, but I guess they do.
To some degree, yes.
You know, when you consider what it cost us to put in that ADA lift right outside this room here, which was 30,000.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah, that 100,000 price tag is not,
No, and that's including the whole fire alarm
yeah,
and stuff.
that's,
Yes.
that's not out of sight.
I mean, it just
It's
starts-
expensive, but in,
It is, but
in
once you
relation
do
to
it
what
again,
we,
it should last for,
Especially the logic of being able to identify where in the building, you know, a fire
The
is
fire
going
is,
off. I mean,
yes.
that could save a lot of that.
any questions on the conversion from oil to gas on the other buildings?
Only that is that waiting for ECG too?
no,
Not
those,
to my knowledge.
last year, I think you pushed them back.
Okay, I
Because
just,
We pushed them back for
prices-
budgetary reasons,
Right.
that's the reason.
I mean, just based on common knowledge, it doesn't seem to be a lot of analysis going into the value of the conversion. Price of gas versus price of other fuels.
It's helped out in this building, but, you know.
Yes, it saved a lot of money in this building, but this is a larger building, so.
But
you're gonna
OPEC
save
is
a lot.
cutting production, I heard,
I
so.
guess.
But you never know.
I only question why we're waiting for them over there, because it's proved successful here. That's my
Very.
only question.
Very, yeah.
You know, what are they gonna tell us that we don't know?
You're right. But
Okay.
I'm not gonna get into that discussion.
Okay,
I've
yeah, we don't need to-
Already made my remarks there. Any other questions? Steve, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good day.
We're right on schedule. Engineering and Public Works. Town Engineer Jim Portley. Good morning. Director of Public Works. Good morning. He's the same guy, so.
Same guy.
Good morning, Jim.
Morning. Okay, we've got a couple updates.
Which one do you want to start off with, Jim?
Basically they're both. I just incorporated them all in one, engineering public works. I guess the first one would be the roadway improvements for Driftwood Lane, Grateful Road, and Lovers Lane.
Okay?
Last year, we had money for improvements to Surrey Lane and a couple other roads. These are this year's current top three that we need to improve. When we were doing Surrey Lane last year, we realized that Driftwood Lane is a 40-year-old road that has had really minimal maintenance over the years. It needs some serious attention. A number of neighbors up there have asked for, especially since we did Surrey Lane.
Which one are you talking about?
Where's Driftwood?
Driftwood. Driftwood
Is it on?
parallels
Is it on?
Long Hill Road.
Which one is it?
If you turn the pages
The
out.
Inland Road
and out more
reconstruction?
for YouTube.
No, it's not. It's not part of that inland road
Oh, okay.
construction
No.
is geared to the thoroughfares. These are roads other than the major thoroughfares that, as we recognize them, need attention during the course of the year.
Yes,
So this
Field and
would be-
Overlay, Driftwood Lane.
Oh,
Down
okay.
below, okay.
Oh, all right, I got it.
With 125,000?
Yep, got it. Okay.
So wait, Driftwood is,
Where exactly is Driftwood?
It's parallel to Long Hill, north of, if you go down, it's the east side of Long Hill. If you go
okay.
down 2th Street,
Past the
Anita
high school
Cattardi
up
lives
and in
there.
on
You
the
know where
right.
Anita Cattardi lives?
Yeah, okay, up in there.
That's
Yeah.
subdivision. and-
Okay.
yeah.
Delivered meals there,
I've delivered meals there. I
when you
did-
cover for my wife.
So it's a long road, it's almost a mile long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
no, I know.
replaced 38 catch basin
We've
tops.
heard a lot of requests in that subdivision area.
Yeah, we have, and it is, with utility cuts and with age, it needs to be improved. So that would be the first one. The second one is Lover's Lane, just the entrance off Boston Street, going down to the fairgrounds. It gets a lot of wear and tear, it's beaten up. It would just be an overlay of that section of road so that we don't lose it. We did some shimming in there this past fall before past September before the fair, but it really needs to be overlaid and protected.
Needless to say, that's a quaint, narrow lane.
Yes.
As we're doing overlay work,
No.
Is there any
Right.
options to
That's
improving the
fine.
width at all?
I told him to put that in.
None.
Okay.
Without the overlay work is just gonna put a new surface.
I
over it.
understand that, but I mean, in all reality, with more and more use of the fairgrounds,
What ultimately would need to be done with that, we've talked about this on, back when Carl was first, you know, it'd be nice to put a sidewalk down there and widen that out. That is a major reconstruction project, I mean. So I wouldn't envision that at this point in time until we get to the point where we have lots of money to spend on blasting and that kind of thing.
Right, but even, I don't know what the ownership on the right-of-ways and all of that situation are, but I know how they block off for the walkway during the fair with the one-way traffic. Is there any opportunity to widen it at all? You know,
We
with
could-
property lines?
I could look at, research the museum is on the southeast corner. There's ledge rock right out, almost out to the gutter. If you-
Yeah, I was thinking of the other side.
But what
Where
part
they
are
have
you
that
talking about?
walkway, you-
The house is right on the corner, it's right close to the.
But what part are you talking about widening? Not Lover's Lane.
The only place you really would widen
No,
it
that's the
is to
whole charm of it. You can't widen
I
it.
understand the quaint.
I mean, you'll ruin the whole thing.
Well, you also make it safe.
All right.
Okay.
Moving on.
And then the last one would be Great Hill Road. We spent a lot of time and effort this year. We chip sealed that road all the way from Melissa Jones School up to, there's a private road called Covered Bridge Road. From there down the hill to 77, the road, the pavements, because of the grade, is undermined a lot of places because of the drainage. We would need to overlay that road. We've just done a section, as a matter of fact, yesterday, we paved the new box culvert that was installed on the Great Hill Road. It's great for the, you know, for the winter. But we really should overlay that section of road right from 77 up to Covered Bridge Road. Seal the surface so the water doesn't undermine the pavement and restore the kind of safety of that road. It is a very steep grade. 18 to 19% is way beyond what we would normally allow. Matter of fact, it's so steep the school buses don't use it, and rightfully so. But residents use it, so we have to keep it safe, and we have to, maintain what we have, or we'll completely lose the road. And then it's a major reconstruction. So this would just kind of seal off the surface, allow us to do some work in the gutters, to direct drainage away from the roadway, and give us a little more life to that road. Those are the three road projects that have come up, and these brought to the Public Works Commission at their last meeting, and they approved those. Second item was Farmers Wharf Bridge. Marina Commission has identified, and we identified it too, back when the bulkhead was replaced next to the moorings, that the original sheet piling that was installed when Farmers Wharf Bridge was built about 1999 is starting to show deterioration for the salt water. It was a special design of sheet piling. It's excellent in terms of just the salt water, but there are at the top of the pilings where they were cut, it's starting to rust and stain. Way to keep the integrity of the sheet piling is to go in and treat it. We would share this cost with the Marina Commission. I think that we have an estimate of $75,000 to do the entire job. Our portion, which would allow us to maintain the integrity of the Farmers Wharf Bridge, would be about $35,000. The remainder, which is along the bulkhead that is used by the Marina Commission for their commercial boats, would be obligated by them. So I think that's just remaining money there. Two sidewalk expansion programs. These aren't now. The sidewalk expansion programs are not in this following year's budget. They're 218 and 219. This is the 219. One is for the extension of the Boston Street sidewalk out to Route 146. You've all been aware of the discussion on the Shoreline Greenway Trail. This is part of a long-term plan on the transportation plan back in 2002, to extend the sidewalks out. This would, came up as part of that Shoreline Greenway Trail, that over a several-year period, we would make the connection from where the sidewalks ends now, which is about at Alderbrook Cemetery. One year, we would go out to Soundview, it's about 1,200 feet, and the following year, we'd go from Soundview easterly to the junction of 146 and Route 1. Because there's a drainage structure on the first section, that where there's a culvert under Boston Street, we would have to spend a little more money there. It's $70,000 would be the first year, and the second year would be approximately $60,000. That's using current pricing for the sidewalks. Again, these would just be sidewalks, but it would fulfill our town plan to have this sidewalk go from where it terminates now to Route 1. And that was something that was brought up at the public hearing on by residents of Sunrise and people who wanted to see the extension of sidewalks. So it's a legitimate fulfillment of a project. The other
Jim, do you know offhand what the length of that is?
total, it was 1,200 feet from Alderbrook to Soundview and 1,200 feet from Soundview to 146, to Route 1, 146 intersection.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The last project is a request of the Planning and Zoning Commission. They would like to see the extension of sidewalks along Route 1 West. That's out, that was part of the Route 1 West project, that their plan for improving pedestrian traffic out for development of the west end of Route 1. And as I had envisioned, it would be a 2-year project. I put the timing out to 2021 and 2022. It's a long-term plan. There's no real demand for it right now, but it's an idea to put it out there. This is what, and there is part of the town's comprehensive plan to improve that end of town, increase the, not only the shopping capacity out there, just the use of the west end, but it's what they have identified as one of their needs.
And this is from where to where?
Basically, it is from DVR westerly, and it's a beginning, and I don't see it as a 1-year project or 2-year project. It'll be developed. You know, many times, like, we would, if parcels are being developed, we would require that developers put sidewalks in front of their parcels. So the idea was to give some impetus and some money there to fill gaps. There are places now where we've had sidewalks installed across properties. There's a development out there was done by Angelo Moscato, almost opposite Westlake Avenue. We had him put a sidewalk along there. So there is a section that has sidewalks, and we have other sections with added sidewalks. So the idea, again, is to have money for the connections of sidewalks and to be able to work with the state and try to improve the pedestrian access out there. Okay? So-
Jim, you want to talk about some of your vehicles? I noticed, looking back to last year's plan, you carried forward 2 vehicles
Yes.
for $220,000, which were the
Right.
6-wheel dump truck and
Yeah, well-
which was a one with a plow, and then a Mack 6-wheel dump truck. These are 2 replacement, to replace 2 vehicles. But then I noticed you added, no, you didn't, okay, that was the Driftwood Lane, sorry. So there's no change on your vehicles?
No.
From your prior year?
This is a long-term plan.
Okay.
So it's just.
So you're sticking to that, which is good?
Yes.
Okay.
The one vehicle is 11 years older than another. They both need to be done at the same time.
They're both quite old. This was, addressed back when we had the 5-year capital. We just couldn't get them all done, so we just stretched out, and the more reliable ones were kept. So these
But this time, we're putting them into
The general fund rather than.
operating and not into bonding any longer.
Right.
Good. And that's it for equipment, it looks like to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
Minimal.
Well, we borrow,
So we're
we
pretty
have,
going
on
up.
this year's
Yeah.
budget, we have a loader. We thought we'd complete what you committed to us before we start looking for more stuff. But, and you hear it from every department. Equipment gets old, needs to be replaced, and we're in good shape now. I mean, I think I appreciate the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen being so good with bringing our fleet up to date. But it doesn't, once you get it done, it doesn't end, which you all know.
Did you talk about the sand salt shed, 75,000 already? Did I miss that?
No, you didn't, no.
I did not. That was identified last year's, and we're not sure we need that. We did go to ZBA and got a variance for placement of the wash bay that we have been approved for this year. So we may be able to get with some better site work, we might be able to leave that salt shed there. But we haven't gotten into final design on that, and I don't wanna commit to that just
So
yet.
if you can get the shed placed, if you get the variance, or you already got the variance?
We got the variance, but now we have to lay it all out, and there's a lot of engineering involved in providing the facilities that will serve that wash bay.
So if that all works out, then this isn't even necessary?
Right.
Oh.
Hopefully.
Jim, also are requesting appropriation from a bond of $1 million, Inland Road reconstruction. Want
Right.
to touch on that, please?
Okay. Right now, we've scheduled replacement of reclaiming and widening and drainage for Podunk Road from Clabbert Hill to Orchid Drive. That would be done under that dollars. And also work on Goose Lane from the northbound on-ramp all the way up to the junction with Nut Plains. Those are two thoroughfares that we believe need immediate attention, and so they would be our first priority in terms of working on the inland roads. We've done, I think, as much as we're gonna do right now on shoreline roads. So I think we have to now direct our attention. As you know, Joe, we have applied for basically a $2.5 million grant from the DOT called, it's a LOTSIP grant. It's the
Yep.
same funding source we had for the reconstruction of Westlake Avenue. Worked out great for us there. We've applied for this LOTSIP grant for Nut Plains, and that would allow us to reconstruct Nut Plains from the junction of State Street and Little Meadow up to North Madison Road. It's almost a 2-mile section of road that needs a lot of work, a lot of reprofiling to allow the drainage to work, extension of drainage systems, and also includes what has been envisioned as a trail that would connect aspects of the town's basically school and recreation facilities. We're planning what we call the North Nut Plains Path that would connect Adams School at the far end to the Guilford Lake School, but also the golf course. And as we will go by, we would be able to connect it to the dog park at Nut Plains Field. And it would allow access to timberlands and also to the land that was purchased from the Gosses, what they call the preserve. So it kind of follows and fits into the concept of a greenway trail. We would allow, under the LOTSIP program, we would build it from State to North Madison Road. We also have applied for a grant under what they call a TAP program, which was a transportation alternative program that would allow construction of the path from Adams up to where we would start Nut Plains, and then from the termination of the Nut Plains project over to the Guilford Lake School. That program has a matching funds, and we would have to provide 20% matching funds. But these were ambitious programs, but we would certainly like to proceed with them. And I think they would address a lot of requests we've had from neighbors and so forth. And I think in terms of the road construction, which I think is our priority right now, has always been, it would address a reconstruction of a major thoroughfare in town.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Tell the police to come in, they're outside, I say.
All right, send the cops in.
Morning, gentlemen.
Slow it down.
We're right on time here. Representing Police Department is Chief Hutchinson and Commissioner Mickelay. Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. Are we waiting?
He'll be right back. You can start now.
Okay. He told me to keep it slow, so we'll keep it slow.
If you do it quickly, then we'll have less questions.
There you go, that's a good point. So in summary.
There you go.
Essentially, I think it's fairly self-explanatory. The bulk of what we're looking for in our capital, certainly in 17-18, is vehicles. We're looking for 4 patrol vehicles and 1 unmarked vehicle, which is an administrative vehicle. As you look through the expenditures related to those, the patrols, obviously, it's just the cost of each car times 4, and the unmarked is just 1. As you go through the components for the vehicle, what you see as we project out through 19, 20, 21, and 22, those numbers are...
Excuse me, Jeff, if
Sure.
you go to the next page, it's outlined in greater detail. The summary amount is
okay.
on this page.
I'm not sure what you're looking at. I'm sorry. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So,
Yeah, I know, I was just looking at this first.
yeah. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So as you project out through 19, 20, 21, and 22, as you see the vehicle component costs are going to drop. If you remember, when we made the switch from Crown Victorias to the utility SUVs, the equipment wasn't compatible, so we had to buy, every time we bought a new SUV, we needed the new equipment. So after this year, we're going to be fully operational with all Ford Interceptor utility vehicles, and that's why you'll see those equipments for light bars and radios and equipment requirements in the cars dropping substantially. Again, the cars really, there's not a whole lot to talk about with those other than any questions you might have specifically for the numbers and why we need them. It's just a function of when they hit about 100,000 miles, our projections, they spend way more
Same
time
thing,
in the shop than they do on the road. And
But this is following the vehicle replacement program that's been established,
correct.
right?
The one change I will
abbreviating?
point out is 17-18, we had projected 3 this year and 3 next year.
Yeah.
We had to make a switch to 4 this year and 2 next year.
Because of use.
Because of use, number 1, and because we added, and we'll know in 3 more weeks, but we added a canine unit to our staff, and they require an assigned car. So that car, we held over a car with 100,000+ miles in this year's budget, used an older one. And so moving forward, if we take that 4th, we can still survive dropping next year down to the 2.
Now, that car has to be specially equipped.
Correct.
It's not a regular patrol car.
It's a regular patrol car. It's just equipped for the canine with buzzers to let the dog out. It has fans and air conditioning, so the dog is safe when it's in the car and the officer's not in the car with it. That sort of stuff.
Okay.
And it's marked differently with stickers and warnings for people that it's a canine car. So that allows for the shift from 3 to 4. And then next year from 3 to 2. As we look at the building, not a whole lot of cost projected. Really, the only reason I'm mentioning this driveway repair is as you know, our driveway enters from 77. It serves a private business on one side, it serves us, and then it serves the dog pound and the fire department in the back. And so I was telling the commissioner outside, it gets heavy traffic, and not just by volume. It gets some heavy vehicles going in and out of there, and it gets beat up. I've been pointing it out for a couple of years that driveway's 20 years old, at least in our section, and it's starting to break up and fall apart. I don't think it necessarily belongs in our budget, but I think it's important to point out that it needs to be replaced. It might need a more comprehensive look at the whole parking lot driveway system.
Should be a combination budget.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
commend the chief for bringing this up and to light, but obviously we're one of a bit role player in a bigger driveway issue.
Well,
so-
yeah, the Chief and I had a discussion about this, is that, I told him to put it in your budget.
Yep,
It
no,
has
I
to,
agree.
it's a placeholder.
Yep.
Keeping in mind that the capital, equipment and capital expenditures is a department which in itself in the operating budget. So it really doesn't get charged to your
Right.
department
Right.
or the fire department or any other budget, so, you know, even though you're presenting it, you all
Sure.
understand.
I just
that.
think it's important, yeah,
Yeah.
that it be a discussion point. And,
Yep.
and the number that you're looking at is based on a quote that we got simply for repairing the areas that, the driveway coming in and then the parking areas that we use for the police vehicles. So my expectation would be if and when we move forward with repairs, it's gonna be a bigger number
Does
than
the
that.
private business participate in it at all, or is that simply considered a public access road and they?
They have a right of way to their property, is my understanding,
Oh,
yeah.
so they don't own the property?
They don't own the driveway. Their property starts, actually, there's a grass berm in between our driveway and theirs. It starts there and moves in that direction, so.
They should
We could tell them they
contribute.
should pay for it.
They should, because,
I think when you're running the fire trucks over there, you have a hard time
Yeah.
claiming that they're
No, I
responsible
know.
for any damage.
Well, not only that, but I mean, you know, they could access directly onto 77. It's actually safer that they do it the
Right,
way they
and I'm
are.
sure that's the way, why it was created that way,
Sure.
because the
But it-
state or whomever didn't want them.
But if they're
want a
willing to
separate curb cut.
participate.
I'll leave
is
that- I'll leave
part
that
of
to
this
you.
work Public Works could do, or is it has to all be subbed
I think
out?
that would have to be a conversation with Jim.
Yeah,
I
so that's
could
another
certainly
thing,
talk
Joe, to
him.
check.
To be honest, I haven't had detailed.
Well, thank you for
conversations.
bringing it up. I mean, obviously, it's something
Yeah.
that the town has to maintain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on from the building. Last year, the town approved an upgrade to our CAD system, which is our computer-aided dispatch system. We made a decision to push it out to a 3-year purchase agreement from 1 year, and that's why you see the 53,000 in this year and the 53,000 next year. The vendor had agreed to maintain the same price and spread it out over 3 years. That's kind of somewhat committed money. We're looking to launch that new system within the next few months. So that's really critical that we have that CAD money in there for the next 2 years. It's important to point out that in 2019, we had projected a $40,000 cost to replace an iSeries IBM computer that was running our old CAD system. And by purchasing the new system, we were able to eliminate that other $40,000 that was gonna come in the next years. So there was a somewhat of a savings on that system. The license plate readers, we had a discussion about this last year. It was in the budget, and by the third referendum, it wasn't. I'm suggesting, and I'm not suggesting it's a critical piece of infrastructure, but I'm telling you that it's something that we've been trying to get into our patrol vehicles for several years. It's a proactive investigative tool. To explain it one more time, basically there's a camera unit mounted on a patrol vehicle which points in both directions. It's basically a passive reader of license plates, and it's tied into the state collect system, basically the system that indicates whether somebody's wanted, missing, anything related to that license plate and that registered owner is what you would get back in the information. And so it's a really valuable tool for our patrol vehicles. If they're driving through Shoreline Plaza, a lot of times there's vehicles that are in the system for shoplifting. Around this holiday season, we drive through, there's cars that are doing shopliftings and thefts in different towns, and they'll enter those plates into the system. So this will pick it up, you'll know that, okay, here's the car, somebody must be in one of these stores, let's hang out here and see what we get. It also is a valuable tool in researching. You can pull up the data for a certain period of time. If something occurred, a bank robbery occurred in Guilford, you can pull up the data for the car that was in that area, see whether that particular vehicle description had gone by, and start doing your research and investigation there to backtrack and see if you can identify whoever did that robbery. It's a valuable tool. I'm not going to tell you it's critical. We can survive without it, but we've been looking for years for it. We pushed it over one more year last year and would love to get that in the cars. And I think the town would benefit greatly from having that additional tool on our cars. And this is just for one car.
That was my question.
Yeah.
It's for one car?
For one car.
19?
Yeah. So I wouldn't even suggest that we put one in every car. I don't think it's necessary. But it's.
Are there dash cams on the rest of the cars?
We have cameras in every car. We've had that for
But
years.
this requires a separate camera.
This is a whole separate standalone unit. It's a license plate reader. You'll see some of you, if you notice vehicles, you'll see cameras on the back of the trunks pointed in different directions, and it picks up vehicles going in both directions and gives you your data feedback. It alerts the officer in the car. Okay, I just saw a car that person's wanted or that person's missing, or.
So this is one vehicle,
One, yep.
okay.
Chief, why is it in for 17, 18,
Um,
and 18, 19, or is that an either or?
No, it was to have, I'm looking for two,
Okay.
so I figured I'd
One a
try
year?
one this year, one next year, and then, they have a life of, 6, 7 years, and then at some point, we'd want to replace those couple. Because at some point, you might have a car down, you want to have redundancy there. But I wouldn't in any way suggest that this is a path towards putting one in every car. I don't think that's necessary.
What? I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not, but you say the cars have dash cams.
Correct.
So if the car or patrolman makes a stop, the dash cam doesn't read that he has to enter the
records it.
license plate to find out
Correct.
what's going on
It
before he
records
gets
everything
up.
that occurs. These are dash recorders, basically.
Okay. So an officer would have to enter that license plate
Correct.
to find out any information that
Which
he
is
would
what we
need
do
at
right
this
now.
point in time.
Correct.
I see the difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what's the problem with them entering the data?
So this is a passive thing.
Enter
You
data
can
in every
have-
car in the parking lot.
You could have 30 cars drive past you. There's no way you can read
Right.
and enter all those vehicles in that time frame. You can drive through the parking lot at Big Y and Walmart.
Why would you be just randomly pulling license plate information?
I don't think this is random.
It is, no,
Well,
That's what I'm.
It is random.
It is
because
random.
you're
No, it is. It's
picking
reading-
up
it's reading
For them to identify a
By
car that's
potential-
potentially bad, so the
Or a car that's been reported.
identifies all the license plates that it drives by. You
You
do
have to
have
have
to drive
probable
by.
cause. Maybe I'm getting into too.
No, you
deep.
don't.
No.
Oh, no, say there's a robbery in
It tells-
Westbrook,
It tells you if there's a.
and this will identify that that car is now in,
It's only going to alert you to cars where there's a wanted person,
Okay.
missing person, a BOLO, which is being on the lookout for. It's an additional investigative tool.
Okay.
It's been vetted legally up and down, trust me. The things you might be concerned about from a legal perspective are the maintenance of the data, how long you keep the data of the vehicles that you're recording, and there's purging requirements in place for that. You can't keep it for over a certain period of time.
One vehicle would
Couldn't
be-
afford to anyway, because the servers aren't that big.
one vehicle would give you sufficient coverage? I mean, that car
Well,
would
one
have to be
vehicle,
roaming
that
around
would be the
pretty
vehicle
fast.
that would primarily be patrolling the Route 1 area.
Right.
So we'd assign it
The
to that
shopping
area.
plazas.
Yeah, and Route 1 and south. And that's where your volume is. So
Mhm.
we're not gonna be up on the highways, we don't do that. So it's basically.
One car would help substantially.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do other towns in the area have these?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They're surrounded by,
Catching up.
that being said, our guys do a really good job. As I said, I'm not gonna claim that it's a critical piece of infrastructure that will, without it, we're not gonna be able to do our jobs. I'm just suggesting it as a additional investigative option. It's a more of a proactive approach than a reactive approach to policing. And I think that's what we've been trying to do in Guilford, and just continue to go in that direction. This would help that.
And it was put in for last year, and because of the feet of the budgets. We had to eliminate some
Understandably,
items, and that
yeah.
was one of the ones that got eliminated.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
That's
Any
it.
questions? Gary?
Not specifically related to this, but, and we can hit you in January if you'd rather, but since you raised the camera issue, the storage and the data maintenance costs for your dash cams and body cams and all of that, I mean, how's that working?
Well-
And I will put into context that I read an article recently about Seattle, Washington, and they were saying that if they were to answer all the FOI requests for this stuff, it would require a staff of 190 people
Yeah.
just to monitor those. You know,
Sure.
say the downside of having all this data
Is the maintenance and
the
the storage.
maintenance.
Yeah, there's no question. Right now, we're handling perfectly well the requirements that we need to store our dash cam videos. And the body cams we have the money in place. We haven't even implemented the program yet. It's supposed to be in the spring that we're working on that, but every bit of research we're doing suggests we're in a good place to store, because we're not Seattle, Washington, and we don't have the volume that they do in the number of vehicles and body cameras and officers. We've identified, that we're gonna be able to do it. It's gonna cost money, but it's not gonna be so costly that we're not gonna be able to do it, or we're not gonna need 190 people for our FOI.
Yeah, obviously, we're not the
request,
same size, but
yeah.
just
But we will need about 25 more in order to do
people.
that. So we'll talk to you about that in January.
Finance department will help you out.
I wanted you to go quick.
Yeah, you did say that.
Before you leave us, we talk about the upgrade to your HVAC system.
Mm-hmm. Right, so we have money that's previously approved for the upgrade.
Yeah,
to our
that's what I thought, yeah.
Let's see, where do we start? How much time do you have? Several years ago, proposals were made and discussions were had regarding the system in our building. Our building's 20 years old this year, so our building's in fantastic shape. People that come in are amazed that it's
I can't believe it's 20 years old.
Yeah, been there 20 years. But one of the things that's starting to fail on us, and has been, is the HVAC system. Everything else is in pretty good shape structurally. We started several years ago researching a long-term plan for replacing and upgrading the systems, because we've had some significant problems with the balancing of temperatures. You'll have, heaters on in the summertime in some rooms and windows open in the wintertime in other rooms because of the train system that we had in there. So we looked at long-term projections for costs. The building committee reviewed what was projected for the engineering company that the town hired to review the building. The energy task force, efficiency task force, reviewed it as well. A proposal was made last year, 2 years ago, regarding the 5-year cost of projections. It was bonded for replacing all the air handling units one by one and the air conditioning units. Last year, we completed the replacement of the control system, and we worked on one of the other rooms in the building that was causing us problems, and worked on all the switches in the rooms to try and do some balancing. Moving forward, we still have air conditioning units that need to be replaced and air handlers that are starting to fail on us. The money's there. We now have the school system working with a vendor that's reviewing all the town buildings again. This will be on our 4th review of our building. And so we're waiting to see what happens with that before we make a commitment on the expenditure of all that other money that's sitting there. Personally, I thought it was a lot of money to set aside for a building that costs about $3 million. And, just replacing the HVAC is gonna cost us about
So you think they're gonna come up with a different result then, you think?
I
or
don't know, but I don't.
Do we need somebody else to look at it, or?
I think having a 5th person look at it is a bit of an I'm waiting to see
what I'm
that.
saying.
Yeah, they're in the middle of it though, so I'm not going to interfere with what their reviews are going to tell us.
Yeah, but I think the money's been appropriated already, so I don't think it belongs in the budget here.
That's what if we've already gone to bonding with it and it's
Yeah.
sitting there, then why is it in here already?
That's my question.
Just as a reminder.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I'll work with the finance director on
Okay.
that, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good.
So maybe I told you more than you need to know.
But
It's okay.
But I'm not gonna, I guess the point is, I'm not gonna spend it just to spend it because it's there.
No.
I wanna make sure that we're
Okay.
being reasonable about what we're doing with the
Okay.
town's money.
but we haven't gone to bid on it or anything.
No, the
No.
only thing we went to bid on was the one, it's in segments. The project that we
But
just did was
Right.
bid on and
So it
completed.
could theoretically be less than that when you actually went out
Oh,
to
sure,
bid.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
But it was
so-
part of, I believe, a bonding referendum, so.
Okay, so,
Okay. Anybody else? Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next on our agenda is Park and Recreation Department. Let's see over here.
Vehicles, they were 2006 pickup truck, maybe they don't use it anymore.
Who does?
Police department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk to them later about
You know,
it.
maybe if that's gonna schedule to get replaced, it goes to Kevin.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good one for Kevin.
Yeah.
Big four-wheel drive.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, they may not use a lot, then they use 20-year.
oh, you're saying to take, yeah.
But there's a 10-year-old pickup truck on their vehicle list
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
that maybe could get used.
there you go.
Morning,
Good morning. Good morning.
Rick Maynard, and our commission chairman.
Thanks, sir.
Jack, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Tony, how are you?
Very well.
Okay. Rick, you want to start off?
Sure. So we have this 5-year plan that the Parks and Rec Commission crafted, looking at what our most pressing needs are for the next 5 years. And do you want to go through year by year? And I mean, the way I split it
No,
up.
I tell you what, we're concentrating mainly on the 2018.
Yeah, okay.
So let's do that one.
Sure, all right.
And then if we have questions, we'll look at the
Okay.
out years.
And I when I submit it, I break it up by equipment versus projects. I'm not sure if everybody does it the same
Any way
way.
you want.
but I'll start out with the equipment, and Tony will chime in as we go through this. So our bottom line request for 17-18 is $212,015, and two of the items on there are items that we had in last year's budget that we deferred back, to this year because we requested to push it back, and that was the F-550 dump truck and the F-150 pickup. The total of those is about $115,000 roughly. So our request this year would have been about that much less if we were able to have done it last year. Yeah, so we lumped it all into this year. So it's the F-50 dump truck, the 150 pickup. Those are both about 15 years old. Their bottom are rotting, and the public works guys basically told us you got to replace them. They're just rotting out on the bottom, and I wouldn't say they're unsafe, but they're getting there. The 1997 van is something that we've added this year. It's going to be 20 years old, and that van was donated to us actually. I lose track of time. I'm going to say 12 years ago, maybe. It's just it should be off the road. It's just not safe anymore. The engine bucks. Air conditioning just goes on by itself or shuts off by itself. And the electrical's messed up on it.
Who drives it, Rick? Who's gonna
The
use it?
recreation staff. We have 3 program staff. It's used a lot for like in the summer, for example, they're going to camps or up to the lake, the beaches. During the year, if we have special events on the green, they're transporting,
Stuff.
supplies, materials, and stuff for it. Also, if they go to a conference, they'll take that to the conference. And so we're looking at a pre-owned vehicle. We're not looking for new, and we price them out. The average is around $20,000. So we're not asking for a new one. We'll get the best, whatever money. If you approve this, we'll make sure we get something within that price range. But $20,000 looked like the median price range when we went online and looked at different types of vans. The 20-passenger bus, it's a 2005 actually. I put 2006 in here. I was off by a year. It's got about 106,584 miles right now on it. The interesting thing here is that we did push that up a year. It was 2 years out. We moved it up to next year because, again, that's one that's been in the shop a lot. Repairs. But when we originally requested in the budget, it was $80,000. We have since found out there's a grant that'll pay 80% of the cost. So the cost to us is more like $16,000. If you remember, we used to lease the buses through the Greater New Haven Transit District.
Yep.
They no longer lease buses. You have to purchase them now.
Right.
$16,000 is a pretty good price, considering we're gonna get 80% coverage in the grant. But when we used to lease them, I may be off a little bit on the years, but it was, the useful life was 5 or 7 years. We had to trade them in at that point. And this bus will be 11 years old next year. So it's beyond what they used to consider useful life in the number of miles on it. And as you know, we're getting more and more requests for rides as our population is aging. And that bus, we do have 4 buses, and they're all used. But if one's out of service or 2 are out of service, we're struggling to transport the people we need to transport. So that one is due for replacement, and we have a replacement plan over the next 3 or 4 years to replace the other ones. The F-350 pickup truck, that's replacing the 1990 Ranger that is actually out of service. It's no longer usable. So we want to upgrade that to make it a more useful vehicle. The Ranger really, it's a small truck. We couldn't really do a lot with it. The F-350 would allow us to use it for snow plowing in winter. It can haul trailers. It can do a lot more than what the little Ranger allowed us to do. And then also the John Deere mower, it's replacing one. It's a 1990 mower. Our mowers are used, early April through into this year, into November.
5 days a week.
Yeah, and so they're always running. And when you got one that's 1990, it's out of service. We just can't use it anymore. We need to replace it. That's a highlight for the equipment on projects. If you remember last year, we had money in the budget for painting the interior and exterior of the community center. It got cut from the $25,000 to $2,900. We are using that. We are going to paint the Guilford room and Whitfield room. We're going to use that $2,900 to do that this year. We just got it's actually $2,800. We just got submitted a purchase order for that, Joe. I think you might have it. I think we did it last week. So we're going to expend that, but we got the rest of the building, the exterior and the other rooms to do. So we put that in again this year. The building is it's built. We were in there since 1993, so it's almost 24 years old, and we want to make sure we can keep it up and keep it looking good. As you know, it gets a lot of use. The skate park at Bender Park was in the master plan. It's been in there for a number of years, and this is the year it's coming up. Tony, you have those pictures? We have some pictures we can show you, but the cracks are pretty major up there. It's not only a skate park, but we have seniors pickleball up there, a couple pickleball courts, and we pass those around. Take a look at how bad those cracks are getting. It's at a point where we got to worry about kids tripping in those with their skateboards and stuff. And the plan is to go post-tension concrete, and I've talked to a couple different companies who do this, and they both say you can get about 30 years out of that, as opposed to asphalt that cracks and does what that's doing right there. So the post-tension concrete is, for me anyway, a relatively new concept. And you look down as we go a few years out, the Adams tennis courts, the same idea. We want to replace those with post-tension concrete because the durability. I mean, they'll be there for the rest of our life anyway, if we get to 30 years. So that was the plan with the skate park. So once this is done, that should be it. We shouldn't have to worry about it again for decades. And the fence at the community center playground, it's a really small amount, $7,000. But again, that's been there since 1993. The wood is rotting. The facilities guys have replaced certain posts here and there, as they've been rotting. But there's so much of it really needs to be done. It's just all wood. It's wood, and wood deteriorates over time. And that's it closes the little playground at the community center where the preschoolers go during their programs there. The weed control at Lake Quanapag. We're fortunate that you folks approved the money in this last year's budget, and we have a state grant. I just got the report from Greg Bugby from the Connecticut Agricultural Experimental Station, who did a survey, a pre-treatment survey and a post-treatment survey. And it was pretty successful, the treatment we did last year on the very north end of the lake by the boat launch area. There's about 12 acres up in that area we did. And then we called the
Rick,
shallow.
why isn't that in your operating budget?
It was in capital last year.
It was?
Yeah. It was. So we just put it back in there.
Okay.
No, it's general fund.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
general fund, but I thought it was in your maintenance budget.
No, I'm pretty sure it was in capital last year. I can double check that. I mean, it doesn't matter where it goes as long as we.
No, it
get
does.
Get approved.
It does matter. But if you're right, we'll be consistent.
Yeah.
But if I'm right, it goes into your operating budget.
So it's successful. So what the area that we wanted to target is this very south end of the lake now, where it's just full of lily pads, and from July on, you pretty much can't even kayak. You can't get to the dam there. It's not wide enough. There's so much overgrowth there, and that's an area that that people who live on the lake have been coming to the last 4 or 5 Parks and Rec Commission meetings, I think, Jack, right? And their request was we now target the south end, and we talked to Greg Bugby about that, and he agreed that's perfect, probably where we should go. And so the fee, the cost estimate we got was from a company that does the work. That was including harvesting, where they would actually cut some of the weeds and lily pads, and then do a chemical treatment in addition to that. And so that's where the $25,000.
I did get I heard a lot of positive feedback about that, so.
I did too, and I stand corrected, it wasn't a capital budget. Okay.
Can we get some
Just check.
state contribution? up
We
there?
did last year. I asked Greg Bugby about that. He thinks there would be no money available this year. We got, it was a 50-50 matching grant. I can't remember the dollar amount, maybe 20,000 was it that we got
I
from the
thought it was
state?
20, wasn't it 20?
30.
30?
Was it 30? Okay.
And actually, we didn't use all of that this past spring, so we're gonna do another treatment next spring. Greg Bugby's gonna help us apply for the grant to do that, and go back, hit a couple of the areas where there's still a little bit of weed growth coming up.
And the choke, grant, too.
Yeah, and actually, Cho gave us $5,200 last year.
So we have the money for that, so do we have to use all the money in the account for last year, or no? If we got the grant?
Well, we're gonna use,
So you got
we're gonna use
25?
it in the spring. We're gonna finish up
Yeah,
the leftover from that. We're gonna go
Yeah.
back and retreat a couple of the areas. We're gonna buy some more benthic blankets for the beach area, which was very successful.
okay.
But we didn't
So
have
you-
enough of them.
Went beyond, like, you spent what we had and you spent what they had doing even more.
For the next treatment, we're gonna go a
Right.
different part of the lake.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're targeting different areas of the lake over the next 3-4 years
Mm-hmm.
that, and it never is 100% complete, you have to go back and hit, some of the areas again, to get better control. But we think if we have it over, in the next 5 years, we have it in 3 times, and we think that it'll get us on a good path of starting to get better results there, rather than just hit it once 1 year, and then 3 years later, you're back there at it all over again. Try to keep up with it.
No, you have to keep
Yeah.
it on your annual basis, or
Right.
else you're wasting money if you don't.
Right, yeah. Let's see, and then the engineering services for replacing synthetic turf at the high school field, that's $35,000, that's a number I got directly from an engineering firm. That is scheduled to replace in 2018-19, the old carpet. That's just the carpet and the infill, the underground surface remains the same. But the warranty is 8 years. We were hoping to get 12 years out of it, and it'll be 12 years in 2019 when we do it.
That's the 550, Rick?
Yes,
Well, the 35 is the engineering. and the
Correct.
5
Yeah, but I'm
is
talking
the
about,
replacement.
how much is the school contributing to that?
none. We originally we thought they were gonna cover half of it.
That's what I thought.
But in some conversations I've had after that, they feel that fields are Parks and Rec responsibility. And the indication I had is that they were not gonna contribute to that. And so we put the full amount in our budget. The discussion was that if that was a grass field, not synthetic turf, and we had to resod it or do something, Parks and Rec would do that, which we do in all the other fields. And why is it any different because it's synthetic turf, that it's, again, this is the
Maybe
conversation.
we shouldn't be doing it on all the other, I mean,
Right.
And that line of reasoning also applies into the 2018, 2019,
What about the $500,000?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
yeah, that's a-
So, there have to be
You
further
know, in
discussions about
discussions
that.
I had with the superintendent, we're having verbal understanding that it's 50-50.
That's what my original understanding was.
Who's
but-
telling you it's not?
Well, I had a conversation with the superintendent, and
I think
if you want to talk to him, maybe that
I
can
think
change.
I will.
Yeah,
I hope you would. Thank you.
Joe, maybe we need to revisit all of how we handle, I mean, we've had this conversation before, but, I mean.
Okay, move on.
Yeah.
Wasn't the original concept that certain
Yeah, we do.
fees, and I know they're relatively
Question
small,
which
but when
bucket comes out.
various clubs and others use the field, that the fees would go into a fund to help replacement? Has that been
there's not a
established, or?
lot. There's not a lot, because, most of the groups are not, they're mostly the Guilford youth groups, and they don't pay. We had some donations from lacrosse, Guilford Youth Lacrosse donated, I think, 2 different years, there's maybe $3,000 total from them. I think that, we have an account that's in, here, and I think Jake has an account also where some money has come back. It's not a real lot, though. I don't know the number, I'm gonna say 20,000 maybe. It's not a huge number.
Some
So,
of the adult soccer
Yeah.
clubs use it, and others.
they pay. There are a couple for-profit groups have paid to use it. Youth football, when they have their jamboree there, because it's mostly non-residents, they pay to use it. So, but it's a pretty small amount.
But on that same topic, not only are the fees an issue here, but also the use of the field. We have a very limited use of that field compared to what the Board of Education has for that field. And, what are the activities that we use on that field? I think you mentioned them in terms of fees, but say it again in terms of use.
Yeah, well, we have a camp there in the summer. We do some sports camps out there in the summer. But mostly it's youth football, youth lacrosse uses it sometimes, youth soccer. Yeah, the majority uses the high school, without question.
Yeah, I know it is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. All right, we can move on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Carpets.
We're starting a replacement plan for replacing carpets in the community center. Some of them are original, 23 years old. The second floor corridor, for example, that's original carpet. And then some of the other ones, the Alexander Lounge and the game room, we looked at the ones that are kind of getting in the worst shape now to replace, and then we'll do more as we go on. And I think we have them in the following year too, or maybe the year after.
Well, on that same carpet replacement, we have in our 21-22 proposed budget a replacement of the carpet of the corridor in the community center. And that is by far the most trafficked, most used corridor from front door to back door, day in, day out, night in, night out.
Do you want to look at replacing the carpet with some more durable flooring?
We thought of that, but there's also an injury factor there too. Kids running and slipping,
Well,
say, seniors running and
I
slipping.
investigate what other materials out there.
Seniors don't run too much.
What was that?
They do slip.
That's true, too.
Seniors don't run too much.
How old is that carpet?
Is it 20 years old, right?
Is it the original carpet?
Well, not the corridor one. That one's been replaced once, but by 2022, it'll probably be about 15 years old.
But as it
That's pretty
stands
good
now,
wear.
though.
It's pretty good wear,
Charles,
but it takes a
Charles,
beating. It's always, I mean.
Yeah, as it stands now, it needs to be replaced now. And I get a little concerned when I see something for 21-22. It's like getting a post-dated check from someone. The day may never come. And I really think if we could put something together, a package together, to do all of the rugs or all of the carpets for, say, next year.
Well, that'd be great, but if you, I don't know if you have a book in front of you, but I have a book in front of me that says $2.3 million for total capital expenditures in the operating account. I'm gonna have to cut that more than half.
Actually,
to make
2.7, Joe.
2.7, thank you, I'm looking at the wrong page. I'm gonna have to cut that by about a third to make a budget.
Yeah, I understand.
But maybe to your
So
point.
I can't help you out here, Jack.
Well, you might want to help us out because it's used so often. And I can say,
And that's why I say,
yeah,
when you want to replace the flooring, you might have to look to something that requires less maintenance and has more, can stand more wear and tear.
well, we will consider that.
Okay.
We'll very carefully consider.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We did talk about tile or linoleum or
Yeah.
something in the hallway, and there were maintenance issues with that when we talked to different people about that. You know, if it gets
Which is
wet,
non-skid, I
slippery.
realize
Yeah,
that, you have
yeah.
a lot of seniors there, and you have
Right.
a lot of kids.
The echo factor, there's a lot of people, you know, in that foyer to talk a
Mhm.
lot, it's hard to hear in the office, and the carpet just absorbs a little bit better. It's warmer, you know, in the winter especially, you know. But we talked about that, we looked at like a laminated, almost like a plastic, like pergo kind of thing, you know, which looks like wood. The same thing, it could be slippery, it's maintenance, vacuuming is a lot easier than trying to
Insulation probably would
resurface
be
and.
prohibitive also. I mean, because you'd have to resurface the concrete under the rug and
Yeah.
everything. Well, it'd be interesting to look into, but.
Yeah, it's worth,
Yeah, we did look into, we thought carpet was the best option for us, and that's, you know, where we looked at it. It may be
because,
less
I mean,
expensive too
even,
than
I've
tile.
complained to you many times about some of the rooms. Unfortunately, some of the individuals who use the rooms upstairs, they just don't take care of the rooms. They're slobs.
Yeah.
They spill coffee and soda and whatever, and
Right.
they don't care.
Mhm.
And we spend a lot of money, your department spends a lot of money in trying to upkeep that
Right.
building. And, you know, you do a good job.
Well, in line with your suggestion,
But people just don't take care of the public buildings.
Right.
no, they don't. They don't.
And, you know, I like to have a little bit of pride in our buildings.
We do too.
I mean, the same thing here. I mean, we have a sign out there, don't, other than water, don't bring it in here.
We used to, in the Monuckatuck room, which you know, a lot of meetings
Or at least don't spill it.
Well, she doesn't spill
water in
it.
it.
She spills it, she's cleaning it up.
I would clean it up.
We
she
used to
does.
not allow anything in the Monuckatuck room, but how do you monitor, you know, at night with meetings, you know, no
It's
one's gonna
tough.
say you
It's
can't
tough.
bring your coffee in there.
Or at least clean it up.
Yeah.
Have some pride
Right.
in our buildings.
Yeah.
Have some pride in your town.
Well, a different surface, you know, may well be the way to go, and we will carefully consider that. And I would say, in particular, we might want to consider it for the floor, the main corridor floor, because a couple of times in this past year, there've been some septic overflows, and the overflows came into the hallway. And it's probably a lot harder to clean that up than it is a different surface floor. And it's a health issue, it's a safety issue.
But the thing is, you may end up, again, not that I'm a proponent for spending more money, but you might spend more money in the short term, but in the long term, with different flooring, you spend less. I don't know, but I agree with Joe, I think you have to look at it, and to your point, the whole point, and I'm not saying that, it'd be wonderful to do everything all at once, and then, but the whole point of this is like in your homes, you have a long-range budget, so you plan things accordingly so we can spread it out as to what's absolutely needed versus, at a given time, versus what can be needed over a period of time. Everything's needed. Maybe you wanna, if your goal is to do it all at once because of, maybe you wait a few years and then you do it all at once. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know if that works with whatever you,
But we'd have to prioritize
Yeah.
it as well.
that's what I mean, yeah.
In a sense, we did it here, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying there might be a greater need for one rather than the other.
Yeah.
No, and you,
At this time.
you fellas did it the right way. But when we look at the entire town needs and all the departments together and we see a total expenditure for next year of 2.7 million, we have a lot of work to do to bring that number down. So now I'm gonna ask the question, do you need all these vehicles this coming year?
One thing, it sounds like that van's gotta go. I
Can we
mean,
just finish up on the expenditures part for 217, 218?
That's what I'm asking here.
Oh, okay, well,
In 217, 218.
You're talking about the last two items, Jack?
the last two items, and then we'll go right into your question.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, well, the last two were to update the Wi-Fi in the community center. This was recommended by a commission member. There are certain areas of the building where the signal is either, there's no signal or it's very weak. I think
Agreed.
I think the Guilford room was one of them. And a lot of times there's big meetings there and you can't get a signal there. And so Tony Santarcangelo, the IT guy here, went to a company, got a quote, and made a recommendation of, you know, what we need to do there. And that's reflected in the dollar amount there. You know, Wi-Fi is big, and there's so many places people use it now and for meetings and stuff. And there were areas of the building where you just either no signal or it's very weak, and that's the Guilford room was one of those. And the last one is irrigation at the Little League outfield areas. I'm hoping this number can come down some. That's the actual number that I got from a contractor that it would cost to do the work. But I'm I'm thinking the Little League may help contribute to that. I don't know how much yet, though. I've asked them if they'd help. I've been telling them that's something they need to do. They're now hosting tournaments in July and August. When Little League used to only go until June, it was okay, but now they're in the summer. They really go from April to November now. You know, we have a season like this year with the drought, that I tell them the field could look like shredded wheat, and it's so brown, and now you're playing on it, it's not a good field. We do have an irrigation pump that we put in this past year, that was approved last year, but we only irrigate the infield, and that's just to hold the dust down. You know, we can water the clay to hold the dust down, that's all we can do. There's nothing in the outfield on either of those two Little League fields. So the plan is to irrigate the outfields of both fields at Adams School, the Little League fields. I believe I'll get some money from Little League. I don't know how much yet. I haven't heard back from them, but they know that we're gonna be requesting it. So that number hopefully can come down some. I can't tell you how much yet. That's what the actual cost would be. Hopefully not that much for the town. I think that wraps up and
Just one more thing. I don't want to sound like Peter Falk on Inspector Columbo, but just one more thing, which is not there, and it may well have fallen off the page, I don't know. We need a sound system for that large community room, a sound system that people can use and hear in the back.
I agree.
I can't tell you how many people have kind of looked at me or said, you know, what's going on here, and we need a sound system. It's not here, it probably should be there, or depending on the cost, maybe it could come out of another account. But and this isn't the place to talk about 217-18, but we're into 16-17. Maybe it should be done this year, this budget year. Because next spring, we have the budget hearings, and God forbid, additional hearings as a result of that. And I for one, would like everyone to hear what's going on.
I don't
Perhaps
disagree
a sound
with you, Jack,
system like
because
this man has in the fire.
the last public hearing we held, which we had about 300 people there.
Yeah.
I told Rick, make sure he shuts off his blowers.
Yeah.
Right.
Kitchen blower, if you sit in the back, goes
I
on.
was in
I've
the back.
sat in the back at other meetings and I can't hear a damn thing, and I'm not that old. I should be able to hear.
What?
He said what, not me. No, you do have a problem there.
Yep.
Okay?
We hope you address it for us.
But you also have a nice balance in your program account. So,
Well, that's what I suggested.
so maybe you should spend some of your money on that.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
That's my answer.
And we'd like to do it this year, though.
Okay, but there you go.
If
Do it.
You have the
money's
money.
there- Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
And it's not in here because we did get some
Thank you.
estimates for some upgrades, and it's less than $5,000, so the capital limit, I think, was 5,000 or more, so that's why it's not in this
Okay.
capital budget.
Good. All right, so
Now-
my
now to your
question.
point, now to your point.
Now my question.
Couple of questions.
Oh, I'm
Sorry, did you have?
Well, I want him
I'm
to answer
fine.
my question first. Thanks.
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah.
The question was about the trucks?
Yeah.
Well, Tony, let's look through the list here.
I mean-
Tony's the guy that would, you know.
Okay,
he's-
look, not to
he's
put you on
working-
the spot. If you'd get back to us,
Okay,
look it over,
sure.
okay, and what could we push
We'll
out?
prioritize.
I appreciate
They
that.
wouldn't be on there if we didn't need them.
Okay, I know that.
But there's,
But-
you can always repair something, it just depends on how much you want to spend on it, so. We'll dig
And you
in.
can tell me how much you've been spending down at Public Works to repair these vehicles.
Yeah, one of the trucks over the past 24 months, about $9,000.
Okay.
And then the other truck was just over $6,000.
Okay.
And that's just parts.
Okay.
Not counting all the labor.
So you guys don't get charged for labor, do you?
No, we don't, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's just parts.
Okay. So,
We'll dig deep, see what we can do.
good, thank you. Ken, you had a question?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. One was on the bus replacements that you suggested. You have 3 bus replacements that seem to be covered 80% by grants.
Right.
You put in for one of them in this next year's budget. My question is that grant liable to expire? Would we lose the 80% if we wait 2-3 years on the others?
I don't think so. I mean, we can never make any guarantees.
What's the grant?
you know.
Where's it come from?
It's through the state, but I think some federal money that goes into that state, into the state. I can't remember the name of the actual grant. I
But
don't have that.
it's earmarked for
Transportation for seniors and
transportation
disabled.
for seniors.
Yeah, yep. It's a long title for the grant. I don't have it in my head. It's been around for a long time. In fact, that's one of the questions we asked, and they just said we don't see it going away. I mean,
Okay.
what does 5 years look like? I don't
It's
know.
solid.
Yeah.
The other thing was that almost every year that you're here, you tell us about the building being 30 years old and
23.
getting there, okay, it's over, and you usually ask for something on the roof. This year you haven't. Is the roof repaired itself?
The roof is in the budget this year to replace the roof, this current
This
year.
year's budget.
Yes,
Mhm.
yep. I'm just working on, in fact, I just.
So
sent
yesterday is here. This,
Yeah.
this is next year.
I sent a note out to 4 or 5 architects to request for proposals. So I think the deadline for them to get back to me is next week, and then we'll start moving forward with that.
Why
so
would we
we
need an
replace the
architect to
fiscal year.
repair a roof?
I know, why don't we just hire a company?
Why do we need an architect to repair a roof?
It's gotta be replaced, so we have to have specs written up, specifications have to be written up.
For a roof?
Replacing a roof is just getting rid of the old shingles and putting on a new, going down.
Someone has to write the specs for it, right? And usually you
Yeah,
have an architect
yeah.
do that, because it's a $165,000 project.
Go to standing building committee.
Okay.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, go to standing building committee.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay?
Okay.
We're not paying for that.
Yeah, because companies would come in and bid based
Yeah,
upon, they know
That's
what they have
part
to
of
do.
their bid process.
Yeah,
is
they-
to
and they know what
spec
they
it,
have to do.
That's right. See Pam
Even all
after
the
this.
stuff
Okay.
done in schools would have had an
Sure.
architect.
Thank you.
I have one quick question. You'd mentioned, maybe I misunderstood you. The resurfacing the pickleball and skate park with post-tension concrete, and then I thought said that you'd already done that with the Adams courts.
No, it's in the budget for the Adams
Okay,
courts
because I
also.
saw that I saw it demolished, so.
Yeah.
So that isn't what was done with the Adams courts?
No,
just
that
a
was just
patch.
patch, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, about every 3 years we have to patch, and that was like 17,000, I think.
Anybody else? Gary?
2020, out of curiosity, where would this new garage go?
Across from across from the existing garage, or almost really more across from
So
A and W.
Down at Public Works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And they have space for it?
It's town property there on the other side of the parking lot, and there's an area that Jim Porley recommended it could go. It's kind of just across from where they park a lot of the trucks that are no longer, the graveyard really is where the trucks that are no longer useful. It's that area.
But where do the trucks go now?
We have places we can't put them now. They're just outside.
Yeah.
Trucks and top dressers. I think we just heard from the Public Works Department is going to be building a wash bay, or truck wash area, which I think is a great idea, and I think it'll help all of our trucks last longer. But it's going behind where our current garage is, and that's where we store all of our soccer goals are back there, field hockey goals, picnic tables. I don't know what else is back there.
Basically, everything has to do with sports that we bring in and out per season. We'll lose about 6,000 square feet of storage back there.
Okay.
Outdoor storage. If it ends up going there, I know they're still in the talks of where it's gonna go.
So where does the equipment go?
Well, that's the big concern, that's why we're kinda looking forward to possibly getting our own area.
Yep, okay.
And DPW, I'm sure they could tell you they would love to have our 5 bays.
Right.
So.
It benefits them as well as us.
Anybody else? Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice holiday.
Okay, yeah, sure, okay. Take a 5-minute break to change the tape,
And I'm gone.
then you're gone,
Missed the
okay,
fire
you're gonna miss the fire department.
Fill me in.